stream.
Okay.
Lauren, you are live. You are live.
Hi everybody, welcome to the second live dive of today, and welcome to July, the 1st of July. So today we are out the front of Don Foster's Dive Centre, but we are much further out. We are at a place called The Wall. So normally we dive at Casuarina Point, and today we're much further away at the complete drop-off. We call this The Wall. So I am currently at 22 meters, the deepest live dive so far. And this wall drops off to absolutely thousands of meters down. So quick introduction. We have Emil on camera and we have Patrick on the surface. So there is a strong current today, so we're going to drift a little bit along the wall. We'll keep getting shallower as we go, and who knows what we're going to see. So over to you, Pat.
Thank you, Lauren, and welcome everybody. So we are at a new site. Well, not a new site, but an extension of our normal sites today. Now, if you have any questions, please send them in. We want to hear anything that you want to know. Make sure it's relevant to what we're seeing as well. So if you're using Twitter, please use the hashtag diveLIVE. And if you're on Facebook or YouTube, we're going to see it anyway. So what's your depth right now, Lauren?
Oh, I think we already mentioned that.
Oh, sorry.
22 meters, so it's definitely much deeper than we've been before, but I won't stay here for too long, because the deeper you are, the quicker you run through your air. So as we go along, drifting with the current, I will go bit by bit, just a little bit shallower. Now, many of you will know I've never seen a loggerhead, so I will be looking out for one of these elusive turtles while on the wall, and I am completely open to whatever else we see. So please do let us know what you want to see. But bearing in mind this strong current will push us, so we may not be able to look for the teeny tiny things.
Yes, it is roaring at the moment. I felt it this morning, but it must have even further intensified throughout the day. So we can see that we have a lot of gorgonians growing out this way. So gorgonians are those plant-like corals that are drifting along nicely, just swaying gently in the current there. And the current is their friend because it brings food to them. Obviously, being attached animals stuck inside that skeleton there, they have to allow food to come to them, and then they'll grab it with the tentacles on these little polyps here. So the polyp is the individual animal that is making up this entire coral colony, and we're getting to some great views of them. These ones are really separated from one another, so you can really see the structure of each individual polyp. Now, being octocorals, these polyps will have 8 tentacles, and that is how you identify an octocoral, by looking at the tentacles on the on the polyp and counting how many there are. So as we can see here, there is 8 on these tentacles.
Yeah, there's many gorgonians here, so it very closely resembles the left side of the reef. It's not that different, just a little bit deeper. We do have a white spotted filefish here, that's what I was just looking at, but it has just gone into hiding. They're the perfect body shape for hiding on things, so I wonder if it will come back out.
And just while we're looking for it, Spas is asking, do you get different fish at different depths?
Yes, you do. Pat, while I'm answering the question, can you get Jared to possibly turn the volume up a little bit?
Yep.
Yes, technically yes and technically no. So the reef fish, the smaller ones, will tend to be much shallower, just hovering above the reef. some of the fish, as they get a little bit bigger, will sort of move up and down a certain depth range. But even animals like squid, which I know are not fish, but they have different depth ranges for different stages in their life. When they're very small and very young, they'll hide out in the shallows, and when they're adults and they're much bigger, they will live a lot deeper. So for fish, we generally do tend to see the same fish from around the surface to about 30-meter mark, which is the normal sort of length of the sunlight penetration. So that's where the coral is most concentrated. So can I just get you to talk, Pat, and check that?
Yes, sorry. So is this any better for you?
Yes.
All right,
Better.
great.
Thank you.
No worries at all. So as Lauren said, she is diving off near the wall, and this wall can drop down to 7+ kilometres and over 28,000 feet down. So it is a very vertical drop, and it is formed by a transform fault. So essentially the best way to think of it is a crack in the earth where the land on one side has gone up and the other has stayed down, and it's formed this big trench that we call the Cayman Trench.
Yes, I think the Cayman Trench is one of the deepest in the world, is it not?
Yeah, it's close to it. It's only beaten by the Mariana Trench, which goes down 11 kilometres. Or I don't know that in miles.
So we are coming to sort of the start of the wall where the reef meets the sand, and we will just go along this area with the current so that we can also keep a lookout on the sand for any animals hiding there.
Yeah, there was quite a few stingrays hanging around this morning in this sandy, or not in this exact sandy patch, but there was quite a few, so you never know what might show up. And that's the advantage of being on the edge of a reef.
You never know.
Being on the edge of a reef in a sandy patch is you get the best of both habitats, so it's a real mixing ground for species here.
But as it is deep, this will probably be a shorter dive, so the deeper you go, the more air.
And this
So
is...
I've already used 50 bar already, so I have 150 bar left.
And that is because there is a direct relationship between pressure and depth. So as you go down deeper, the pressure starts to increase, and therefore the air is used faster. So it's looking like we have some goatfish up ahead, joined in with some wrasse. So the goatfish are the ones closest to the bottom, the long cylindrical yellow-tailed fish there. And I believe that that is a wrasse in amongst it. So they're all picking around in the sand, seeing what they can find. Now the goatfish have an advantage on this as well. This is probably why there are other species with the goatfish, because the goatfish know where the food are. They have these two barbels that hang down the bottom of their chin, and they really help them pick things out. So other species have caught onto this and will utilise that to their own advantage as well.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of fish in this mini stream traveling along the sand. Sometimes a lot of fish will take, a big ocean triggerfish.
Oh, beautiful.
We don't normally see these guys. This is a big one.
Oh, wow. So right near the top there, or almost in the middle. So that is ocean triggerfish.
Yeah, they look like mini molas actually. But they are the ocean triggerfish, a species that I first encountered when I came here to Grand Cayman. And they are just so beautiful. They're actually the biggest of the species that you find in Grand Cayman, but not the biggest in the world. So it's called the ocean triggerfish, probably because it doesn't hover right above the reefs in the shallows. They do tend to be a little bit more open ocean, a little bit more pelagic. and their top dorsal fin and their bottom anal fin are very, very long, longer than all the other triggerfish. So that's how we can identify it from afar. I love ocean triggerfish, what a great thing.
Yes, they do resemble one of Lauren's old friends from back in the day, the old sunfish. And wouldn't it be... Oh, I was just saying that how closely they resemble the sunfish that you used to love so much.
Yeah. Never seen one. It's on my list of things. A sunfish, mola mola.
So we have a question from Take Care Lauren, and he is asking, is there a noticeable difference in temperature between the reef itself and here on the reef edge near the wall?
Well, actually, no, there's not, but I have just checked my watch, and my watch is saying 29 degrees Celsius, which is about, what, is that 84 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yeah, 84, 85, around that.
Okay, well, that's actually a little bit warmer than it normally is. Normally it's around 28 up here, but at the depth we're at, which is now 16 meters, no, there's not really much variation in temperature.
And proud cat mama, I think you're going to know the answer to this one, Lauren. She's asking, do triggerfish bite?
Oh, goodness me. Yes, there is one species called the Titan triggerfish, and I experienced many a conflict with this animal when I was working and living in the Maldives. So the Titan triggerfish is the biggest of all triggerfish, and they have human-sized teeth. They are huge and big, big rubbery lips. Not only that, the females will guard the nest that she produces. So she lays eggs, which is quite unusual for an animal of that size, and she will guard it with fierce maternal care. So normally the nest is built in a cone shape, and she will look up in a cone shape, and if any snorkeler or diver comes into that area that she is protecting, she will come at you with force. Not only do I have scars, but I have a huge hole in my $500 pair of fins. So yes, these animals can get very, very aggressive. But she is just protecting her young. And obviously I must have went into an area where her nest is without realising it. So I shouldn't blame her too much, but those fish give me nightmares.
And we were down on the sand with those goatfish feeding on the bottom, and that has prompted Stevie to ask, what are the bottom feeders in this area?
Sorry, what was that, Pat?
So Stevie was asking, what are the bottom feeders in this area?
What do you mean, animals that will feed on the bottom?
Yeah, so we saw the goatfish before, and they were feeding on the benthos, or the bottom. So Stevie wanted to know, are there other species like this that feed along the bottom here?
In terms of fish, yes, I guess so. So a lot of fish, depending on what they are, you will have your herbivores that will graze all the algae. So if there is a patch of algae in the bottom, then yep, you will find them feeding on that. Stingrays are fish, they are bottom feeders. They will just travel along the sand looking for all the invertebrates. Even fish like hogfish will regularly be feeding on the sand. So yes, there's lots of different bottom feeders. And I think Emil has got us a queen angelfish up ahead.
Yes.
Are you able to see that?
We can see that very well, those bright blue edges and the yellow fins. So this is a queen angelfish. Called so because you can see towards the front of the head there is a little blue circle, and that is referred to as a crown, just like a crown on the queen.
Yeah, the queen angelfish are very glamorous, very, very beautiful with all these bright colours. This one isn't hanging around for too long. Normally they are quite friendly, but the angelfish, they're quite a small group of fish, and they contain 8 different species. the queen angelfish is one of them. And we normally see around 4 of them on our dives. But we are creating a little species list. We are keeping a monitor of all the different ones that we see. And this queen angelfish is actually able to mate or breed with a blue angelfish and create a hybrid, which is really interesting within itself. And you can see they have a really flat disc-like body, which they sort of move in a fluttering motion, which is very, very similar to their really close relatives, the butterfly fish.
And angelfish are actually really fertile. So one female queen angelfish can produce 10 million eggs in one spawning cycle. So that is a lot of gametes to be releasing. And I mean, they're not all going to be fertilized, obviously, but you know, if a higher portion of that is fertilized, then they do produce quite a large amount of young.
Yeah, and each sort of gamete is normally 0.9 millimeters, so not even 1 millimeter in size, which is just incredibly small. And they normally take between 15 to 20 hours to hatch and become larvae, so it's a very quick process.
Now, Lauren, we have had a bit of a game running where we're trying to spot one new species each dive. So what are you going to keep your eyes out for today?
I would love to try it, but it's quite hard to stop in one place due to the current. It's kind of literally just pushing us along, so it's going to be quite hard to spot out a new fish for us, but I will do my best. It's also much difficult to breathe when you are deeper. You really have to suck on the air than when you are shallower, so it's a completely different experience.
And Richard is requesting that we find a porcupine fish today.
Oh, I just saw one back there. Okay, I will definitely keep my eyes open for one for you, Richard. They're one of my favorites too.
They are very cute to encounter, and also a really fascinating species as well. You know, some fish down here are just fish. They are just that. They just do fishy things, but the porcupine fish is very unique.
They are indeed. They're really, really cute as well.
Wow, it is incredible to see just the sheer number of gorgonians in this area.
Yeah, it is a lot. It's completely different to the normal area, which is the left side of Katharina Point. There's hardly any gorgonians there, so it is a very different environment. I do see hogfish over here, and I did just mention a hogfish feeding on the bottom, so it'd be really nice if we can just go over here and we'll show everyone the hogfish feeding on the sand. We might have to swim a little bit to keep up with it. It's over there.
So hogfish are the largest member of the wrasses. So wrasses are generally quite small and have a cigar, or it's kind of a cigar body shape. But the hogfish is completely different. It's quite large and it's got quite an odd shape. It's got a very sloped head and a very...
That's what it's got next to it, Pat.
A barjack, who would have thought?
Yes. That famous barjack is just following the hogfish around, and we've actually got another hogfish as well. There's two, and the other one has also got a barjack right next to it. This is hilarious. So this barjack is notorious for just following the fish and being a complete naughty, opportunistic feeder, and just waiting until whichever fish it is feeding, and taking that opportunity to seize some of the food. So this hogfish is not as big as some of them. It's definitely a male, but I don't think it's reached its terminal phase yet. So as Pat said, it is in the wrasse family, And the wrasse family are very well known for being hermaphrodite. So they start off their life as females and they finish their life as males. And these changes in gonads can be brought about by hormonal changes, especially changes in steroid levels in their body. So it's a natural part of their life, and they're actually called protogynous, that's the correct word for it, and they are sequential hermaphrodites. So they don't have both gonads of male and female at the same time, it develops later in life. And this hogfish is really, really beautiful. And I did say that it's a male, and the reason I'm saying that is because it's got a black dot towards the back of the body. I hope you can all see that. And this black dot develops when it becomes a male. So what they're doing above the sandy patch right now is feeding. So someone was asking about bottom feeding fish. Well, here you go. We rarely see the hogfish in the shallows, occasionally, but rarely, because, oh, that just did a big colour change. Let's see if we can get it doing it again. So the hogfish that we would, no, this one a meal. It's changed again. We're going to follow it and see if it does that beautiful colour change again. It went from being white and grey to bright and mottled pink. So it's called the hogfish, which I actually really disagree with this name. It's because of the snout is said to be quite pig-like, which is where the name hogfish comes from. But I think it deserves a much more glamorous name than that. And just like all the other members of the wrasse family, they have harems. So the male will look after a number of females, but hogfish have the largest harems of all the wrasse. They can have up to 15 ladies in their harem, which is quite impressive. So not only do they get to mate with each of the ladies, they do also have to take care of them, make sure they're protected, and that they all get food. So the hogfish is quite an impressive animal.
They are really fascinating. They are, I was talking about uniqueness just before with the porcupine fish, but the hogfish is another one of those fish that is just really interesting to study, and you're always finding out new things about them. So we have a question from Child of the Universe asking, do fish use their scent? I mean, do fish use scent or sight to find mates?
Scent or sight?
Yeah. Scent as in smell, or sight?
Oh, scent. Sorry, probably the deck. Well, fish have the 5 senses that we have, so they can see, they can hear, they can touch, they can taste it, they can smell. Different animals will utilize them in different ways, but what we do know about fish is they all have a very special lateral line that runs all the way down their body. So from their head to their tail, they have this line. Now with the zoom factor, we are actually able to show you on some fish. And this is a line called the lateral line, which is lots and lots of little pores with hairs, which detect pressure changes in the water. A lot of fish rely on this lateral line. Now, moray eels, for example, which are also classified as fish, are actually one of the strongest olfactory predators in the animal kingdom. They have nostrils, and they're heavily reliant on their nostrils. So it just depends which fish you're mentioning. Some fish will rely on their smell, some will rely on the lateral line, and others very rarely would rely on sight. Animals in the water don't need sight as much as animals on the land do. It's a completely different realm down here.
So Craig noticed that as you were talking about the lateral line, Craig noticed that there didn't seem to be one on the angelfish. So he wants to know, do all fish have the lateral line?
Oh, they do. They do. I'm not sure how close Emil got, but they're not always, it's not so easy to see it. It's not a very visible, obvious line, but yes, they do have the lateral line.
And James is asking, is the current there strong due to the weather or because of boats, like man-made structures?
I believe the current is particularly strong today, one, because of the weather. We are experiencing some quite strong winds from the west, I believe. So that's creating a current. It's also very close to the full moon, was just, I think, 2 days ago. And third, we are in an area of the Grand Cayman where there is very large cruise ships. Sometimes they do keep their motors running, and because it is quite a shallow protected area, it does create a really hectic current for us. The currents are not necessarily bad, they're difficult to swim and talk in for me, but for the marine life, they do bring in all the food. So they can sort of bring in nutrients and plankton and transport them. So they're not a bad thing to have around here. Now we are just taking a look under all the ledges here. I am thinking there could be a moray eel around here. And I did just mention them. So it would be really cool to get one on the camera. So me and Emil are just taking a look for them.
And please send in any questions that you have along the way as well. We've been getting some great ones today, and don't forget to hashtag diveLIVE if you're on Twitter.
Yeah, so just an update, I have 90 bar left. I've had to use a lot of bars swimming, but we are getting a little bit shallower. So hopefully I can make the remainder 40 bar last with you.
Yeah, that's just the nature of diving. Sometimes you never know how long a dive's going to be, what you're going to see, where you're going to go. You know, it's all very exciting, but it's also all very variable as well.
Is there any other amazing questions I can attempt to answer, Pat?
Yeah, sure. I will pull one up right now. So, My Safari wants to know whether we get the man-o-wars here, the man-o-war jellyfish.
Oh, the Portuguese man-o-war.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe we get them here in the Caribbean Sea. But Pat, you might know more about them being Australian.
Yeah, so we do get them up north, but no, not here over in the Caribbean, and we don't also get that species that hangs around with it, the nudibranch.
So what I'm actually doing right now is hovering above the reef and trying to find the smallest little fish for Pat to identify.
I do have the identification books on the ready.
So we are trying to show you one new one per day. Well, it's not just for those watching, it's actually also for us. When we see one, that process of identifying a fish is really good for our knowledge as well. It's almost next to impossible to learn every single fish in the book. It's a very large book. So this is a great exercise for all of us.
Richard is asking whether we've got anything that bioluminesces down here.
I believe some of the plankton will bioluminesce. So at night time, especially when there's really no lights, and maybe not on a night of full moon, if you were to go snorkeling and diving amongst this plankton and you disturb it by moving your hands or moving your fins, you will cause them to bioluminesce, and it is an incredible sight. The plankton needs to be in quite dense concentrations for this to happen, and I have swum among this in my life, and it's just one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. I do believe it happens sometimes here, but the plankton isn't quite so concentrated for it to happen in such dense populations. Do you know of any other animals, Pat?
Well, there are a few jellies around here as well that I have seen bioluminesce. And apart from that, no, I haven't really seen any or heard of any others.
That was a good question, though.
Yeah. Now we have a question from Proud Cat Mama.
Yeah.
She's asking, are all fish cold-blooded?
Are all fish?
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question, Pat?
Are all fish cold-blooded?
Yes, they are. All fish are cold-blooded.
Apart from one that has been recently discovered by science, and it has been able to dive down a lot deeper than other fish because it can keep its temperature 60 degrees Celsius above the normal temperature. So there's only been one species discovered that is like that, though, so it's very rare.
What species is that, Pat?
It was a deep water fish. I think that's called an opah, like O-P-A-H.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah. So this looks like a species that I have never seen before, so I will get the identifications out and bear with me while I try and see what this is.
I'm not sure if Emil has something here.
Yes, he has a fish that I'm going to try and identify. It's one we haven't shown here before.
Oh.
Can you see it? It is a very small one.
I'm not even sure what he's looking at, so I'm going to take a look. Oh, yeah, I got it. Have you got that identification booklet up?
Yes, so it looks like it may be a blenny.
Yeah.
Or a goby. Which one? I'm just looking at that now.
Yeah, that might take Pat some time to do. They are very similar looking families. And this one, from what I can see, is resting on its pelvic fin. Almost as if they were hands.
Yeah, it looks like it's stuck in the top of a push-up. Now, this is a goby. There are many similar looking gobies, so I can't say for sure, but it's either the Sand Canyon goby, the Patch Reef goby, or the Birdled goby.
Well, you probably got a better view of it than I did with that awesome zoom that we have.
Or it may also be the Bartail goby, but it is definitely a goby.
So what Pat is trying to say is a lot of the gobies do look really similar. They're not the easiest family to identify.
So should we count that one, or do we...
What was that, sorry?
Should we count that one as a new species?
If we can identify it exactly.
Nah, so we can't say for sure right now.
So Pat, your audio keeps coming in and out, just to let you know I'm not able to hear you too well. So.
Yep, I will get Jared onto it.
Sure, just to let you know about that.
And Richard wants to know, what is the difference between blennies and gobies?
I hand that one over to you, Pat. There is a few, but I'm sure you know this one better than I do.
Yeah, well, they do have very similar morphology, and that means the way that they are made, the form that they grow to, are very similar. So they are very hard to differentiate.
So we do have a vast sponge here, and actually inside, if Emil is able to take a little look inside, there is a brittle star. And we don't normally see the full body of a brittle star. We normally just see the legs peeking out. So let's see if Emil can get us a better look. And inside you can see what we call a brittle star. Can you see that?
No. Whereabouts on the sponge is it?
is right inside. I think the meal is working to get you a closer look.
Yes, so that's showing up now. So those little bristly tentacles you're seeing there are the 5 arms of a brittle star, which is still an echinoderm.
Oh, on you go.
Sorry, they are an echinoderm related to the sea star. So they obviously don't have those hardy arms like the sea star does. Instead, they've got these really brittle tentacle-like structures.
Yeah, so they are related to the sea stars, but they're not sea stars, they're separate. And like the name suggests, their arms are very brittle. They can break off in parts and regenerate. So if they were being chased by a predator, they are able to completely just lose that arm. So they're quite creepy looking in the way that they move. It does remind me of the spiders, and they are nocturnal. So normally during the day, they are hiding out in sponges. That's their favourite one. They can also hide out in many different ones. So if you are ever hovering above a sponge, it's always worth to take a look inside. You never know what you're going to see.
Most definitely.
Now we do have a big arrow crab, I think, down here, and it's right out of its little burrow is another spidery looking thing. Let's see if Emil can show you this. This one looks huge. Really big long legs.
Yeah, the legs of an arrow crab can be up to 3 times the size of their body.
Are you able to get a view of that one yet?
No, I did see one below where the camera is right now, but not now. I can't see it.
It's pretty big.
There we go. So that's on camera now. So right in the middle there, those spider-like, eerie-looking legs and the bright purple nippers, that is an arrow crab.
Yes. They can often be called sea spiders, which isn't quite correct, but you can see how they get that term from their sort of really thin, long, creepy looking body. But these animals are actually very cute. They're very curious as well, so they do normally hang around their little burrows, but they do come right out and they will sort of take a look at what's going on. Are you able to see their eyes? They normally have quite interesting eyes.
Yes, we can. So it's divided by a very long pointed rostrum or nose there. But that is, yeah, they're really cool.
Yeah, they're awesome animals.
And they do molt, as all other crustaceans do. So all this means is that they shed their shell so they can regrow a bigger new one. But during this process, they will actually eat their own shell as well to replace at least some of the calcium carbonate that they need to regrow that skeleton.
Which does sound very gross, doesn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be eating my own dead skin.
And we do have a corkscrew anemone as well. This little bombing is providing a lot of things. So just in here, it's hiding right in the rock. We have a corkscrew anemone. Can you see that?
Yes, we can. So at the very top there, with those very wispy tentacles just drifting about there, that is a corkscrew anemone.
Yeah, so it's quite translucent in colour, if you like, and appearance. It's not so easy to see, but each tentacle is sort of spirally. That's where the name corkscrew comes from. And we do show you the giant anemone a lot. So this is in the same grouping. It's still an anemone. It's just a completely different species. And there is actually over 1,000 species of anemone in that grouping anyway. So each tentacle will still contain those stinging cells. So if we were to touch it right now, which of course we won't, we would probably feel a very small sting. However, the sting, if it was to touch a little fish, especially a very small one, it could paralyze it, if not cause death. So it's not so dangerous to us, but it definitely would do a lot of damage to a little fish, and very often there's little shrimps living inside. Is there anyone in this one, Pat?
No, I can't see. I have been looking out for little critters living in amongst it, but there doesn't seem to be any that are visible. I'm sure there is something living in there though.
So an enemy is quite a difficult word to say. I very often get tongue-tied over it. But it is called the anemone, named after the terrestrial flower. And a lot of anemones are quite a common animal on the reef to have a symbiotic relationship with another species. For example, a fish or a shrimp. It's very common to see here.
And Lauren, Timothy is being a great dive buddy, asking what your air is.
Yeah, I just checked and I am out of air. So I'm very sorry it was a much shorter dive, but we did start quite deep to see what we could find down there. And unfortunately the current was just a bit too strong for us to hover on one area for too long. So thank you everybody for joining. Thank you Emil for being my cameraman. And thank you Pat for always being somewhere on the surface. For your information, we will not be broadcasting tomorrow, so we will be back with you at 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning. And that will be Tuesday the 3rd. So no live dives tomorrow, but we will be back on Tuesday. So thank you again, and we'll see you then.
Thank you very much, Lauren. It's good to see you survive the current. We will see you all on Tuesday.